Um, Dear Lou, I am tired of feeling uninspired, sad, depressed, and guilty for being a failure. And she carries on and tells me the long story and failed marriage and unhappy with her job and didn't quite finish her qualifications and didn't end up in the kind of career she wanted and so forth and so forth. And after she's had children, the body's changed and she's no longer the supermodel she used to be when she was in her 20s, and she put on weight and unhappy with herself, and nothing works, the body doesn't work, and so forth and so forth. And now feels guilty as well for being a bad parent, doesn't give her children enough time. She's grumpy, angry, sad, depressed, been on medication, nothing really works, feels suicidal. Now, I found A Course in Miracles in the recent years, but as she gets deeper and deeper, it seems to make her more depressed because then she starts to realize the whole non-duality of A Course in Miracles, and now there's no meaning in a meaningless world. So she's in a downward spiral, and she's really calling for help here. And can I suggest some practices, to overcome this? Well, the first thing I suggest you do is find a therapist immediately. Find a proper counseling therapist and not another Course in Miracles therapist. Don't find a Course in Miracles teacher. Find a professional therapist. Course in Miracle teachers are seeking, unless they come with a qualified psychotherapy background, if you're struggling with depression, find a therapist. No matter what Guruji, whoever Course in Miracles walks on water teacher says, it's not going to get you out of depression. You may even need medication. You're not going to transcend this through Course in Miracles work. Find a counselor, find a professional. This is going to support you. This is going to give you deeper insight. Of course, if you find a professional who's also studied the course, good for you, especially if they've understood the course. But do your research before you find someone to help you. But while you're doing this, and please, I urge you that you do that. And if you've got my details, so you can contact me again, and I'll put you on to the right professional. Since you do live in South Africa, okay. So please contact me. Make sure that you're prepared to go inwards and face the ideas that you preconceived at a very young age as to what it should be. If you look around you, most people probably admire you and would love to have your life. But you look at yourself, you beat yourself up because you have these unrealistic expectations. So can I now recommend some sort of mantra or some practice? Well, you've heard me say this all the time. Practice meditation, be still, gratitude, abide in stillness. But it isn't working for you, clearly. So I want to read something to you, which I want to take you to A Course in Miracles text, chapter 4, The Illusion of the Ego, verse 5. This need not be. Listen with the ears of the heart. This need not be. If you cannot hear the voice for God, it is because you do not choose to listen. You're not spending enough time in silent stillness. And then voice for God speaks to you through characters like me if you're willing to listen. God's talking to you all the time through people, places, things, and events, animals, and even the music on the radio. That you do listen to the voice of your ego is demonstrated by your attitudes, your feelings, and your behavior. Feelings and behavior, ego. Yet this is what you want. You want to feel bad. You want to feel the victim. I'm sorry I'm telling you this, calling you out on your shit. You want to step out of it? Here it is. Like I said, find the therapist. I'm giving you the non-dual truth that will hopefully, with the right therapy, also help you and reinforce you into the right path. Yet this is what you want. You've chosen to fall asleep. You've got to take that responsibility. This is what you keep, what you are fighting to keep, and what you're vigilant to save, your stories, your expectations, your fantasies. Because you keep comparing what is to what should have been. If I was to take your entire memory out of your brain, wow, and you were just to wake up now and you still have your motor skills and you still know your dad and your mother but you have no history, you'd be completely at peace with your life. You'd be so grateful for everything you have. But you keep comparing, and comparing is pure ego, and ego is the mother of all fuck ups. That's it. It's going to take you straight back to suffering. Your mind is filled with schemes to save the face of your ego, ideas, and you do not seek the face of Christ. Silence, stillness, peace. That's it. The glass in which the ego seeks its face is dark indeed. How can you maintain the trick of its existence except with mirrors? Trick of existence. Body, mind, existence. Not true. It's a trick, sleight of hand. What exists isn't real. What is, is. But where you look to find yourself is up to you. Now let's go within. You've heard this a million times before. Be still and know I am. I have said that you cannot change your mind by changing your behavior. But I've also said, and many times, that you can change your mind from wrong mind to right-mindedness. When your mood, hey ladies, when your mood tells you that you have chosen wrongly, and this is so whenever you are not joyous, then no, this need not be. I can see peace instead of this. In every case, you have thought wrongly about some brother God created. Whether it's yourself that you're perceiving God created, okay, as in the essence of what you are, or any of the others out there. And you are perceiving images. Here we go. Images, the domain of consciousness, imagination. And you are perceiving your ego, and are perceiving images your ego makes in a darkened glass. Think honestly what you have thought that God could not have thought, and what you have not thought that God would have you think. What would God have you think? I could see peace instead of this. I could know myself, remember self, remember God. Remember the joyous lightness I am as the extension of God. Search sincerely for what you have done and left undone accordingly, and then change your mind to think with God. So what have you done? You've dreamt up this entire universe. What have you not done? You've not dreamt anything. You appear to have dreamed. This may seem hard to do, and of course it is. It's why you're struggling. But it is much easier than trying to think against this. Every other thought system, every other school of thought, God, angels, spirit world, Akashic records, angels, life after life, reincarnation, levels, Kundalini, third eye, Uranus, all of that other shit, dump it. You're the holy extension of God. You're still perfect. You simply dream a dream that never happened. And you're not awakening. We're collectively awakening. And you're adding to the collective awakening by bringing your lightness out and bringing your joy out and making this present moment in the dream a joyous occasion, because this joyous occasion leads to the next, and that's how we lighten the dream. That's it. All pressure's off. It may seem hard to do, but you have to choose another way. Your mind is one with God's. Why? Because it's one indivisible mind. Denying this and thinking otherwise. In other words, thinking means paying attention to consciousness, wrong-mindedness. And thinking otherwise has held your ego together, but has literally split your mind. As a loving brother, I am deeply concerned with your mind. This is Christ talking to all of us. And urge you to follow my example as you look at yourself and at your brother. So this is Christ who played out its one role through Jesus, trying to say, behave like Jesus, like when I was the Jesus character in the dream, the right-minded appearance as a character, behave like that. Forgive, 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 forgive. and urge you to follow in my examples, that you look at yourself and at your brother and see in both the glorious creation of a glorious Father, the memory within us all, the end of imagination, the end of space-time illusion, and the remembrance of self as the infinite lightness of being. You can do this. It's why you're on this course. You wouldn't have found it if you couldn't do it. No one, God, Holy Spirit doesn't guide you to the course so you can fail the Course in Miracles. No one can fail the Course in Miracles. They fail to understand it. Well, they run around in circles and build foundations, but they can't fail. You just delay it because you want to build another church. Couldn't help that little dig. Have to pull the piss out of it. Hey, when you are sad, no, this need not be. Depression comes from a sense of being deprived of something you want and do not have. Your fantasies. Remember that you are deprived of nothing except by your own decision to be deprived, because you're comparing what you have to the fantasy of what you wanted and how it should have been. And why should it have been that way? For the grandiosity of your ego. A humble life is a beautiful life. Take it from someone who was that, playboy millionaire and had all the shit and was miserable. And now I have a very quiet and peaceful life. Well, hey, I'm so much happier and so much more at peace. Still have to work, still pay the bills, just quieter. And remember that you are deprived of nothing except by your own decisions, and then decide otherwise. This need not be. I could see peace instead of this. When you are anxious, realize that anxiety comes from the capriciousness of the ego, the treacherousness. It's a sneaky little motherfucker. And know this need not be. You can be as vigilant against the ego's dictates as for them. So it's I wish I had this, I wish I had this, I don't like this, I'm resisting this, I don't like this one, this is what's wrong, this is what you're in resistance. And then your resistance means more of it's going to happen. Then what happens? You become anxious that more of it's going to happen. And then now you're depressed and anxious. Fucking hell. How much longer do you want to punish yourself, Holy Son of God? And then you feel guilty because now you're failing, you're depressed, you don't do anything, don't take the kids to school, don't make them lunch. Now you feel guilty. Remember that the ego has indeed violated the laws of God, but you have not. Your imagination did, but the true you cannot. Leave the sins of the ego to me, to the Christ mind. That is what the at-one-ment, the atonement is for, because be at one, become one again. Until you change your mind about those whom your ego has hurt, the atonement cannot release you. Forgive, forgive, forgive. Script's written. What's God's script for you? Forgive and remember self. Remember self, remember God. While you feel guilty, your ego is in command. You love it. It's how you get attention. Tell all your friends and you feel miserable. Stop. Enough already. Step out of it. Step out of this ring-a-rosies. Get out of it. And you feel guilty, your ego's in command, because only the ego can experience guilt. This need not be. Watch your mind for the temptations of the ego and do not be deceived by it. It offers you nothing but suffering. Comparison gives you nothing but suffering. Beating yourself up gives you nothing but suffering. When you have given this up voluntarily, voluntary, when you have given up, this voluntary dispiriting, you will see how your mind can focus and rise above fatigue and heal. Mm-hmm. If you're fatigued, you're putting your attention in the wrong misperception. You are not sufficiently vigilant against the demands of the ego to disengage yourself. This need not be. Disengage from the world. Remember, you can't detach. Be non-attached to the outcome. The habit of engaging with God and his creations is easily made if you actively refuse to let your mind slip away and go into thoughts that punish you. The problem is not one of concentration. It is the belief that no one, including yourself, is worthy of consistent effort. And of course you are. Side with me consistently against this deception. And do not permit the shabby belief to pull you back. The disheartened are useless to themselves and to me, to Christ-mindedness. But only the ego can be disheartened. You cannot be disheartened. You cannot have your heart break. You are pure love. Have you really considered how many opportunities you have had to gladden yourself and how many of them you have refused because you've gotten used to that self-pity and that self-wallow and that depression and the sadness, and you've become accustomed to it. It's become so familiar, you think it's your friend. It's not. There is no limit to the power of a son of God, all of us. But he can limit the expressions of his power as much as he chooses. You have the same power as Christ Jesus did 2,000 years ago, as Ramana Maharishi, Neem Karoli Baba, as the greatest sages, because we're one indivisible self. What one can do, we all can do. We're all brothers and sisters. Your mind and mine can unite in shining your ego away, releasing the strength of God into everything you think and do. Do not settle for less than this and refuse to accept anything but this as your goal. In the meantime, go find a therapist who can really take you through a therapeutic forgiveness process so you can see the errors of your own way, how you beat yourself up unfairly, and how you can start to be kind to yourself and step out of it. Watch your mind carefully for any beliefs that hinder its accomplishment and step away from them. Judge how well you have done this by your own feelings. If you're feeling sad, depressed, you've again chosen wrong. Okay, by your own feelings. And then use the right-minded judgment to step out of it. Judgment, like any other defense, can be used to attack or protect, hurt or heal. The ego should be brought to the judgment and found wanting there. In other words, this wrong-mindedness, this comparison, this wishing, this hoping it was different, this resisting what is, I'm judging that as no longer good. I choose right-mindedness, silent stillness, present moment awareness. I choose to see another way. I ask to be shown another way. Without your own allegiance, protection, and love, the ego cannot exist. Let it be judged truly, and then you must withdraw its allegiance, protection, and love from it. That's it. Okay. You are a mirror of the truth in which God himself shines in perfect light. That's it. You can read the rest of it. But always remember, when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling disheartened, you've chosen wrong-mindedness, you've chosen resistance, you've chosen comparison, you've chosen competition, you've chosen imagination. There's one way to step out of it, into the silent stillness. Practice gratitude for the smallest things and abide there as long as you can. And when the thoughts come and they want to beat you up, and whoever did you wrong and whatever that went wrong and what's right and what didn't happen and what could have been, no. Don't entertain a single thought like that. It's designed to drag you down and punish you and beat you up with total misery. You can do this. It's why you found the course. If you found me, if you found the course, you're already on the right path. You're already awakened to self. You're just in the process of releasing and forgiving all your misperceived perceptions. You're forgiving a dream that never really happened in true reality. Be thyself knowingly. You can do this. Be blessed. Thanks for the questions.